When it comes to the king of general-purpose machine guns, GPMGs, the PKM is the undisputed champion. It's not the top performer on paper, nor the most intricately designed, but when you put the world's GPMGs through the ringer in real combat, used and abused non-stop, the PKM always comes out on top. From the mountains of Afghanistan to the street battles of Chechnya and every active conflict zone today, the PKM is always on the front lines. It's not here out of nostalgia. It's here because it strikes an almost unheard-of perfect balance between reliability, weight, firepower, and ease of maintenance. The exact things a GPMG needs. To understand how the PKM earned its crown, we have to go back to the end of World War II. Germany's MG-34 and MG-42 had already proven beyond doubt in combat that the GPMG was not a compromise. It was the backbone of infantry firepower. One gun could be mounted on a tripod for long-range suppression, or stripped down to move with advancing infantry, delivering both massive fire density and unmatched mobility. The Soviet Union, however, was in an awkward spot. Its standard heavy machine gun was the water-cooled Maxim, which packed a punch but weighed 60 to 70 kilograms with zero mobility. Its DP light machine gun was portable, but had a small drum magazine and terrible sustained fire. Put simply, it was either too heavy to move or too weak to matter. In the mid-1950s, Soviet military leadership abandoned the debate and set out to build their own GPMG. The requirements were clear. It had to fire the 7.62 by 54mm R full-power rifle cartridge, be light enough for infantry to carry, work on vehicles and tripods, and above all else, be utterly reliable. The project went to Mikhail Kalashnikov, but he was not the favorite at first. The Nikitin design team was the one with high hopes. Their gun performed brilliantly in early tests, with a more refined design and tighter machining. The Soviets even ordered an initial production run for troop trials, but it failed in real-world conditions. The Nikitin gun worked perfectly in clean, controlled environments, but as soon as it was exposed to dust, mud, and sustained fire, even minor fouling would cause malfunctions. Precision engineering came at the cost of zero fault tolerance. Kalashnikov's PK design was the exact opposite. It wasn't built for peak performance in perfect conditions. It was built to work in the worst ones. Pull it straight out of the mud, rack the bolt, and it would fire a full belt without a hiccup. It also worked with the Soviet military's existing stockpiles of old machine gun belts, meaning zero changes to logistics, no need to scrap old inventory, and no extra troop training. The PK entered full Soviet service in 1961. In the late 1960s, engineers at the Izhevsk mechanical plant modernized the PK, focusing on cutting weight, simplifying production, and improving ergonomics. The upgraded model was officially named the PKM in 1969. Most people who pick up a PKM for the first time are shocked by how manageable it is. For a full-power machine gun, its recoil is surprisingly mild, one of the PKM's most underrated strengths, with three hardcore engineering reasons behind it. First, its gas system. The PKM uses a long-stroke gas piston with a heavy mass and long travel that spreads recoil out smoothly, rather than slamming into the shooter's shoulder in one brutal jolt. Second, its heavy bolt and carefully timed unlocking cycle, which drastically lowers peak recoil compared to most peer machine guns. Finally, its muzzle brake, which redirects propellant gas to cancel out a portion of the recoil energy. The result? The shooter feels a steady push, not a violent kick. That's why troops can fire accurate short bursts standing, kneeling, even on the move. The PKM is actually controllable. Now for the numbers. The PKM fires the 7.62 by 54mm rimmed cartridge with a muzzle velocity of approximately 825 meters per second, an effective range of 1,000 meters, a cyclic rate of 700 to 800 rounds per minute, and a sustained practical rate of over 250 rounds per minute. It weighs just 7.5 kilograms unloaded, an absurdly lightweight for a full-power GPMG. For comparison, the USM-2 40 GPMG weighs over 12 kilograms unloaded, and Germany's MG-3 clocks in at around 11 kilograms. Those extra kilograms make a world of difference in mountains, jungles, and urban combat, where mobility is everything. The PKM's lightweight comes from stamped steel sheet and riveted construction. This isn't cutting corners, it's Soviet pragmatism. It doesn't need an extreme service life, it just needs to work, no matter what. That's why troops on the front line call it the gun that fires even when dirty. You can foul it as much as you want mid-fight, and it will never let you down. The PKM isn't perfect, of course. Its 7.62 by 54mm rimmed cartridge is extremely old, and its rim design forces the PKM series to use a two-stage pull-then-push feed system, making reloads clunky and slow. Its long barrel hurts maneuverability in close-quarters urban combat. It heats up quickly during sustained fire, and barrel swaps are not intuitive. These flaws were amplified during the Chechen Wars, leading to the development of the PKP Pecheneg, an upgraded variant with a heavier barrel and integrated cooling jacket that eliminates the need for a spare barrel, drastically boosting sustained fire capability. It gained 0.7 kilograms, hitting 8.2 kilograms unloaded. But since troops no longer need to carry a spare barrel, the total combat load barely changes. The PKM's low recoil and controllability give it a massive edge in high-intensity combat. Compared to NATO's peer GPMGs like the M240 and MG3, which have far sharper recoil and rely heavily on tripods and muzzle brakes to stay on target, the PKM weighs just 10.5 kilograms fully loaded with a 100-round belt and can be fired accurately from the shoulder by a single gunner. Combined with its perfectly balanced gas system and bolt, this is why it works flawlessly in cities, mountains, jungles, and every other environment with a far lower learning curve than any other GPMG in its class. The PKM's influence even reached China. After capturing PKM examples in combat in 1979, the Chinese military quickly reverse-engineered it to create the Type 80 GPMG, which matched the PKM's performance nearly exactly. It was never fully adopted, however, due to existing military logistics and cost constraints. In service since 1969, the PKM has been in use for over half a century, with millions produced worldwide. It never revolutionized firearms technology, but it proves a timeless truth of war. The most advanced weapon doesn't always stand the test of time, but the most reliable one will always be used, generation after generation. That's the real reason the PKM is the undisputed king of general-purpose machine guns.